me your picks, give me your insights. I want the bets from Betting Weekly because we win. That is our motto. Sometimes we win, sometimes we don't win. Don't give us a bed, don't give us your stink eye. We try our best and we're successful. Come watch our show, bet with the sponsors. It's time to start, enjoy the show.
All right, here we go. Betting Weekly Live here with you on a Monday, a new week of Betting Weekly Live as we get going. Mike Carver and Doug Kezirian here with you. Big night ahead, Monday Night Football, Cowboys and Raiders. What a matchup. We've got NBA, we've got hockey, we have got some college basketball tonight too. Get excited, NC State and VCU tonight. If that gets you going. We'll look at some futures in the NFL, college, etc. Lots of things to do. Doug, it's great to see you. Happy Monday. And the first thing I'll say to you to start the week is I knew I shouldn't have took Louisville on Friday night. Oh, I knew it. I knew I shouldn't have went to Louisville Friday night.
You've earned the right to lose and then 10 more, if you will, if you really want to be accurate about this. And I joked in the text thread, the Russian is cut, to quote Rocky IV. The insurmountable Mike Carver finally lost the best bet after 9 straight wins. But that's okay. We start a new one tonight. But really impressive stuff. I'd give you a standing ovation if we had more space here on the camera shot. But no, in all seriousness, incredible run. And you've been nailing winners beyond the best bet. So we've had a really good show. I'm 7-2-1 over the last 2 weeks in best bets. So we've been really crushing this daily double. And we turned the page and hope to get back in the win column collectively.
We've been flying high, and let's keep it going. New week, new money, Doug, as they like to say. New week, new money here with Betting Weekly Live. We'll start things off, of course, the opening line on a Monday. Lots of things I guess we can go to, Doug, off of the weekend. There was some crazy stuff in college. I think just before we came on, I saw Dan Campbell go for another 4th down in Philadelphia right before we started the show. And then there's also the referees. So there's lots of things, Doug, we could tackle, but maybe the refs might be the biggest one of all.
I mean, Dan Campbell is, I don't think, equipped to handle play calling and game decisions. It's really kind of sad. Like the one time he should have gone for it, he punted. And then the 4th and 17, he needed a timeout by Philly to change his mind and do the right thing. It just showed you the game's moving a little too fast. But yeah, the officiating is the issue here. And it really is. The way the game ended last night, it wasn't even the worst pass interference called on the defense all day. The one in Miami, in Madrid with Miami, that was even worse because the ball was also uncatchable. And it's just gotten really out of hand. I think everything needs to be reviewed. That's like the number one thing I would do. And I know the league, quote unquote, tried it in 2019 for one season. It failed miserably because it was set up to fail. You need to do things that aren't just there for optics and just to pretend you want to make things reviewable. There needs to be the sky judge involved with all of this, whether it's offsides, neutral zone infractions, like the tush push for Philly, all those false starts. That's what the sky judge is for. It should not come down to a coach's challenge flag. It should be, let's get this right. It's 2025. We have amazing technology. And then also, let's make referees a full-time job. Why are we making guys like paying them like the cheerleaders part? I mean, cheerleaders should be given a raise as well, but that's a separate conversation. But why are these guys have to do other jobs and things like that? It's nonsense. You should have giant facilities in the offseason where they can go over film sessions and clinics and whatever. There needs to be some advancement here because the world is advancing. It's just bizarre. And the league said, oh, it's expensive to come on. I mean, they make billions, trillions, if you will, whatever it is they're making. So let's pay the right people, because then you're going to get young people who want to be career referees, right? Yeah. You don't want to just get guys in the twilight of their career picking up a second gig when they've already made it. So I think you get young guys, and then it's a really, it's a farm system, if you will, and you have a great infrastructure and the right sort of protocol, and it's going to improve the quality, because you just can't have this bad optics. You really cannot.
You talk about them, and I agree with you. I've thought the same thing for years. They should be full-time officials. These guys basically go, and we know the stories. They're judges, they're lawyers, they're car salesmen. They all go do these other things during the week. Forget the off season, Doug, where they could be in a facility and doing something. How about maybe every Tuesdays and Wednesdays when they're not? How about they work the game Sunday and they get together Tuesdays and Wednesdays and go over the things that they could have done better and work and train and do.
God forbid.
There's a lot of things they could do if they were full-time officials. So I'm with you. Enough of it already. It's too inconsistent. Just too.
And I understand the part-time thing a little bit because like NBA and Major League Baseball, those guys grind like every day, right? They're flying, going back-to-back nights, and football spread out. But still, you have huge pockets. And I'm not saying the job is easy. They do a really good job for the most part. But the problem is the rule book is too complicated. Everything is subjective. And that's why the reviewing of the pass interference, we all know the Saints-Rams NFC title game was just egregious, that call being upheld. So I just think there's a trust with the fans that I think is broken. And it's not like what Mark Cuban said a decade ago, 11 years actually, when he said pigs stay fat, hogs get slaughtered, and that there will be an implosion and all that. Obviously, the NFL is going to be fine, right? It's not going belly up. But I do think there's a trust that's broken. And these betting scandals across the board in all these leagues, it's the low-hanging fruit, throwaway comment, oh, the ref's on the take and all this stuff. And sadly, all it takes is a couple people to do stuff that's a little shifty, and then all of a sudden these jokes have merit. But all in all, I just think it needs to be a simpler game for the fan to absorb and not have egregious calls. And people make mistakes, just like players choke, right? Coaches choke, referees choke. So let's have an infrastructure in place where they can have sort of a correct call. I just know that the Andres Galarraga perfect game from a decade and a half ago or whatever, we wish we had replay then. I mean, I know that referee is probably the one that hurts more than Galarraga. Sorry, the ref, the ump at first base. The name is escaping me, but he felt horrible after the game. Yeah. So let's just have some infrastructure and secure refs who may get a call wrong will probably want the right outcome instead of being being blamed and being vilified.
Yeah, it's been a tale as old as time in the NFL when it comes to these guys. Give them the tools to actually make the right calls all the time. All right, we do have one last game in NFL Week 11 tonight, and that's where we'll start our action on Betting Weekly Live for a Monday night, and that is the Cowboys and the Raiders, a barn burner, the 3-5-1 Cowboys and the 2-7 Raiders. Right now at Bet Rivers, Cowboys -3.5, been there for a little while now. Total down to 49 after being 50 this morning.
Glory Days Bowl, right? I mean, that's really what this is. Cowboys and Raiders kind of both living in yesteryear. As a Raiders fan, I feel like I can say that. There's only been a couple decent seasons over the last 15 years. The one time where they played the Bengals on the road in the playoffs, and then, of course, the Super Bowl where Barrett Robbins went AWOL in San Diego. So I like the dog a little bit. This Cowboys defense leaves a lot to be desired. My only concern is why I'm not betting it. I just think getting the hook helps. Is that the Cowboys really kind of take care of bad teams. They struggle against the best teams. Excuse me. But we're going to see points here. We're going to see a lot of points. First halves have gone over in every Cowboys game but one. Raiders defense, well documented how terrible it is. Geno will throw picks or throw long touchdowns. So I like the first half over 24.5. I think it's a really solid play. Now, why first half and not the game? I do think scripted plays to begin the game, I think factor in. Also, I think if one team like the Cowboys get up 10 or so, they might take the foot off the gas a little bit. Although Raider games have typically been like just going to the moon after halftime because things get out of hand and reckless, which helps overs, I would imagine. It is a big number, 49 and 24.5. They are big numbers. But I think first half over is the way to go. I think Cowboys have been really sharp in first halves this year.
If anyone can get there, Doug, it's these two teams. With how putrid they both are defensively, we could probably get there. First half, I think the game too as well, like you said. I think there's reasons for both. First half, very smart as well. And I would lean Raiders as well. I wouldn't lay 3.5 with the Cowboys against anybody. But I'm not sure I would want to jump on the Raider bandwagon either. But it's probably more total for me than a side in this game. But you know that I'm going to like a couple props as well, Doug, tonight. How about Bowers over 73.5? Cowboys, they give up tons of yardage. We can get Bowers going over the middle. And Pickens for the touchdown. Price looked nice to me that they have this evening. I'm sure that, listen, I'm hoping there's a lot of touchdowns tonight. but 145 for Pickens against the Raider defense. That kind of caught my eye.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing with Bowers is I've wrote his props, and then he didn't kind of deliver in the last time I backed him. So I just wonder if defenses are keying on him. I just don't know enough about like the all 22 video sessions, right? I don't understand how Bowers has been kept in check in any Raiders game. They're also kind of inept. I do expect sort of a big effort tonight. I just don't have faith in their quarterback. I do have faith in Bowers. I think he's fantastic, but this is kind of a dumb team, you know. I think Chip Kelly's incredibly overrated. Makes $6 million a year. I mean, remember that team lost to Michigan a year ago. The Ohio State team was really in a funk for like the entire season, and they got lucky. And in terms of things started to break their way, and then he had a great postseason in terms of calling plays. I'm not sold. Kelly knows what he's doing. He's running Genty up the middle a bunch, and he doesn't have the physicality for that. It's just some strange play calls. So I'm going to hold off on this. And for all we know, Bowers can have a huge impact, get pass interference calls. That's my concern with some of these guys is you just don't get the yardage off penalties. So that's the only reason I'm abstaining from this. But I do think we're going to see points. So overs are the way to go in a lot of ways.
I was with you last week when we got burned by the Bauer stuff, but I think I'm gonna try to talk myself into chalking that up too. That was because it was against Denver, and we've now seeing Denver's defense and what Denver can do. I think that I'm going to chalk it to that, and I think that maybe with a pretty bad Cowboy D in town tonight, that maybe we can let Bowers run free a little bit. And it's 70.5 now. It's gone down a little bit from this morning. I did see, and get involved in the chat, of course, as always, here on Betting Weekly Live in the chat box. Let us know what you got, what you're thinking, etc. I did see someone thinking that the Pickens number was a little low, too, at 64.5. Look, I think with how much the Cowboys are going to throw, I have no problems. Lamb's up there. It's 88.5. But Pickens at 64.5, he's always in that mid-60s range, Doug, that I don't mind taking him.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that. I want no unders here. Okay, no unders at all. I think the fast turf here at Allegiant. I think great atmosphere. I do think the crowd's going to be solid, but there's going to be a lot of Cowboy fans. It's not quite like SoFi in LA, but there's the reason the Raiders have the highest average ticket price in the NFL is because of the tourist attraction that Vegas is. So if friends get together and go to one road game a year, it's usually, Vegas pops up in the schedule. They're saying, let's go there. But I think the Raider Nation will be in full effect. I've been to primetime games. I've been to a couple Sunday night games for the Raiders the last couple of years. It's great, right? I mean, growing up in LA, going to Raider games, solid representation. It's just not 100%. There's going to be, especially the Cowboys with being such a big brand.
I feel like Monday night's the toughest. I mean, they're going to do it anyway. Like you say, this is the game that road fans are going to circle and be like, oh, wow, my team's in Vegas this weekend. Let's go. The Monday night, though, you can be a little out of gas by the time you get to Monday night because Doug, that guys are going to make that we got to go there for NFL Sunday, and then we're going to go to the game Monday night. Might be a little out of steam by the time you get to that Monday night game for a road trip to Vegas.
Yeah, those are rookie moves, though. Some come in Sunday, some pace themselves, maybe go easy Sunday. That's why there's a nightclub in one of the end zones, Carver. That's why you have the Wynn nightclub.
Gotta have it.
Bottle service, everything, yeah.
Also tonight, at Bet Rivers, good special for you. Cowboys cornucopia, getting close to Thanksgiving. Cowboys to score a passing and a rushing touchdown in the first half versus the Raiders. This is boosted from plus 170 to plus 225. So you got to get a pass and a rush in the first half at plus 225. We think there's going to be points. We think we can get the first half over. Maybe not a bad one to get involved with too, Doug, if you want to go.
I like it. Cowboys have a much better run game than we thought coming into the season.
Williams has been sneaky good. I think when they signed him, people were like, oh, this is the answer to their running game. Javonte, well, he's had a really good year, Williams, for them. Maybe it's because he hasn't gotten hurt, Doug. That maybe is the biggest thing about Javonte is that he hasn't gotten hurt, which is.
And that's with Dowdle doing well,
Yeah, with that. Yeah, absolutely. All right, so there you go. Good special tonight, Cowboys Cornucopia at Bet Rivers. Go on the app and check it out. Let's do a little futures update now. Coming off all the games on Sunday, we talked a little bit about Dan Campbell's performance with the Lions on Sunday night in Philadelphia with that loss to the Eagles. And once again, though, Doug, you had The Broncos beating the Chiefs, huge in the AFC. We know the Patriots won on Thursday night. Colts did have the bye this week, but, there they go. All those teams. Colts are 10, Patriots are 16, Broncos are 14. Chargers took a little hit in Jacksonville yesterday, that's for sure. But you've got those three teams there in the AFC who are out in front of everybody else now.
I mean, can I interest you on the Chiefs to miss the playoffs at plus 170? I mean, if the playoffs started today, there'd be no Kansas City and no Detroit.
And remember, they not only are they out of the playoffs right now, Doug, but the three teams that currently are in the wild card, they have lost to all three of those teams, the Bills, the Jaguars, and the Chargers. They have a head-to-head loss. Now, they'll play the Chargers again, of course, with a chance to square that up. But that also factors in, Doug, that they've lost to these teams.
I was going to say, there's no guarantee they win those. Look, I mean, it's a stat that's been thrown around for, a bunch of the last 24 hours, but it warrants repeating. Is they're 0-5 in one-score games after last year being 11-0. Now, I know about regression, but come on. 0-5, and Mahomes doesn't look the same. I will say that. I made a tweet about it last night saying, hey, maybe after this loss, Mahomes will be the new favorite of the MVP betting market, because it's not a knock on the Chiefs, and he's obviously a legend, and he's just having some bad weeks or whatever. But it's really the betting market has just been all about Mahomes, even though they had so many losses. Finally, we can put Mahomes MVP talk to rest. I think the question is, can this team actually turn it around? Is Spags being enticed to go back to New York and be their head coach a second time around? Those are the questions I have. And sometimes teams sort of plateau, and those coin flip outcomes can go against you. Now, I don't think they've lost it. The Chiefs game on Monday night was weird, but I'm not in a rush to bet either of this. So I do see a scenario. Obviously, I'm not going on a limb this late in the season, but it's not that they could miss the playoffs. We've seen teams miss the playoffs every single year. I think for the last 15 years, there's been a team with a double-digit win total coming into the season that missed the playoffs entirely. I thought it was going to be Baltimore after the 1-5 start. That doesn't look like it's going to be the case anymore. So maybe it's the Chiefs. Maybe it's the Lions. Teams with double-digit win totals, there's always at least one that misses this, and usually it's injury-driven, obviously. But KC is in a tough division, and the coin flip outcomes have not gone their way.
They certainly have not. Any love for maybe the Patriots or one of these other teams?
Yeah, so the team that caught my eye is the Patriots. This is like the polar opposite of buying the dip, right? They're like riding a 9-game win streak or whatever it is, 8, 7, 9, whatever it is. But I just think at 9-2, this price seems a little high. So let's take a step back. Before we thought the NFC was going to be wide open, I don't think anymore now. I think the Rams, Eagles are right there at the top. Seahawks right there as well. And maybe the Packers turn things around. Maybe the Niners come around. But I think it's a very top-heavy conference. And I think the Bucs are going to be hanging around as well. And Lions, hey, maybe they missed the playoffs, but they also may be, a force in the playoffs. But in the AFC, it's teams that don't really have a huge power rating. And I'm sorry, the Broncos played really well yesterday, particularly the defense, and they did enough to win. But a lot of these outcomes the last month or so have been shaky. So while the Patriots are not battle-tested or a perennial power, they're still just as legitimate as all these other contenders like the Colts and Broncos and even the Ravens. Do I have to remind you guys how Baltimore's performed in the playoffs the last handful of years? And I think the difference maker for me is New England has Vrabel, who's battle-tested and done really well. Now, he lost as the 1 seed in Tennessee, but, he had Ryan Tannehill as his quarterback. So I think he's doing really well. I think the team seems to get better every week. They're not dominant, but they make game-winning plays. And I think at 16-1, it's worth a play. I think it's the one number in the market that doesn't really kind of make sense to me, given their schedule that ahead is a little shaky, although they have a couple tough games.
The Buffalo Bills right now are the favorite in the AFC at 4-1. And look, it was funny. So when your quarterback has 6 touchdowns and he throws for 3 and runs for 3, it was fun to see their offense get back going. I'm not a believer, but there is a part of me in the back of my mind, Doug, that does sit around and go, if the Chiefs ever did miss the playoffs, and that's been the team that knocks the Bills out every year, Yeah, maybe they'd have to go on the road, but could Josh Allen finally get to a Super Bowl if he has to go through Drake May, Bo Nix, and Daniel Jones on the road? Could he?
Joked last week. I mean, sometimes we see teams kind of get over the hump when it's like the worst version of their team, right? The
Yeah.
Colts team that won the Super Bowl with Peyton Manning was not the best version
No.
of the Colts team. They just got the Bears in the Super Bowl and things broke their way. I think that was when Patriots had a big lead and blew it. And one of their guys dropped the ball on the ground, or if I'm remembering correctly, whatnot. But either way, Josh Allen's fantastic. I mean, if he plays like that, then they're going to be tough to beat, even though they have a shaky coach and a weak defense. I just think it's funny that the Patriots are minus 250 to win the division, and the Bills are the favorites in the AFC. So it's essentially saying the Bills have to win an extra game and go on the road in the AFC, and they're the favorites to do that. Now, that might be liability from the trading team at Bet Rivers, but Bills are obviously really good and power weighted pretty high. I get that, but we saw yesterday their defense is nothing to write home about.
It is not. That's for sure. It is not at all. Also tonight at Bet Rivers, NFL primetime, first touchdown, second chance bet. Players who opt in on the Bet Rivers app or at betrivers.com will receive a second chance token for any first touchdown wager on each game day of NFL primetime NFL games. See the Bet Rivers app or website for more details. Plenty of good choices out there. Maybe even mine with George Pickens. Maybe I'll use my token on George Pickens tonight on the Bet Rivers app over here. So NFL, Cowboys, and Raiders tonight to finish off week number 11. We also have tonight, Doug, NBA. 8 games around the association. Why don't we start with the game on Peacock tonight, which is the Bucks and the Cavs to kick things off. Cavs minus 7.5, 236 flat the total. I'm going to guess, Doug, that I saw that Giannis was game time. I'm going to guess that this got jacked up because maybe he's out now, I would think. Because wasn't this around 4 this morning?
I think he's going to play, no?
Ooh, I will double check that right now, Doug. I am getting on that.
I thought he was probable. I thought he was probable.
Still listed as GTD. Still listed as game.
Okay.
But
think
it was a little lower this morning, right? It was.
Yeah, no, 4. I think the Cavs just have a huge power rating, man. They've been pretty big numbers against a lot of teams. And I know guys who are betting against the Cavs seemingly every night because they've been a little inconsistent. It makes sense. Last year they snuck up on people. Not the case this year. And there's been such a tax on Cleveland, but they're 4-10 against the spread. That's nothing to write home about. I'm kind of leaning under here. I know Cavs push pace and everything. I feel like they're finally slowing down, and things are at a certain kind of halt, if you will. So 236 is a monster number. I feel like the first couple of weeks after that, a lot of teams have pulled back a little bit with the pace. So it's just a lean to the under here.
Lean to the under tonight in Cleveland with that one, 236, Bucks and Cavs. Very big number. All right, let's do a few other ones here. Knicks and Heat playing for the second time in 3 days. Of course, they played Friday night at the Garden in the NBA Cup game, and that game went way over the total. The Knicks and the Heat on Friday night. They slammed through it. Tonight, 244.5 with the Heat -2 at home.
I like Miami here. This number kind of puzzling. We know no Jalen Brunson. We know OG Anunoby is also out as well for New York. Now, they're deeper this year than they were in years past. And obviously, Miami just wants to run pace and everything. But I think the Heat have a kind of a skill, like a unique situation with their depth and everything. Towns went absolutely off in the other game. I just think the Heat there's more ways to win here. They're at home. Maybe the Miami flu. I know there's no Bam Adebayo, and I know there's no Tyler Hero, although he's expected to return soon. I just think what Spoelstra's doing, he's having essentially line changes, playing guys in bursts of minutes. I think the Heat wear him down. It's a short number it's a lot, obviously the star power with this matchup, given who's playing, sides with the Knicks with Cat and a couple other guys. But I think Miami's just better team concept, and I think they're a better coach. So I'll lay the 2.
I was going to ask you, I had this in my notes, over again. I mean, we're talking a lot of guys out, but they really flew through it on Friday night, even with no Brunson in there.
Yeah, so, I mean, Knicks are not afraid to push pace, right? And that's exactly what Miami wants to do. So I would lean over. I wish there was a better trend for this when these teams do the home and home. So basically 2-game series, whether they're both at the same venue or it's a home and home. There's really no betting trend in terms of the totals or even the sides. Team that lost the first game wins and covers the next. The percentages just aren't high enough for any of this. So the market's adjusting appropriately. And for the total, I guess I would lean over. But to your point, Carver, it is a lot of firepower that's missing. But I guess some of those guys are good defensive players like OG.
Yeah, he's definitely their best defender, one of their best defenders who's not going to be in the lineup for them. Let's go to the Nuggets next. Now, the Bulls, how about the Jazz last night? They beat the Bulls in 2 overtimes. Your Jazz continuing to get the job done. And, man, the Bulls all of a sudden, I think they've lost 5 in a row now, right? Like 4 or 5 in a row for the Bulls, as that good start has kind of been washed away. This is the first of 4 huge numbers, and I'll give you all 4 of them right after we talk a little bit about this game. 13.5 for Denver, 240.5 with the Bulls on the second night of a back-to-back.
Bulls have actually lost 5 straight. They did get Kobe White back yesterday, limited minutes, although he had to play extra. I love the minutes count that doesn't really, it's a soft minutes count because they went into double overtime against my Utah Jazz who won. So this is a tough ask. I mean, there's a tax on this line for a reason. Bulls just played in altitude in the midst of this road trip in Salt Lake, went to double overtime against the Jazz and lost. And now they got to go play a contender also in altitude, and they're catching nearly 2 touchdowns, and they've been riding 5 straight losses. So yikes. I'm just going to isolate the Nuggets team total here. I think they can fly over this. Kobe White's not expected to play just because he was on a minutes count, so they're kind of monitoring and preserving his health. I think the Bulls only know kind of one speed, so they're going to run up and down. I think the Nuggets can get to 70 in the first half, just given the situation. And my understanding is the altitude more kicks in early, like it's a shock to your system. And first quarter should be good. I'm just going to give myself the entire first half because maybe the Nuggets play down and to their opponent, but I think they can step on the gas here.
Yeah, that's a tough spot for the Bulls. Back-to-back after playing 2 overtimes in Utah and then having to go up to Denver. Not easy to do for them. Now, that is one of, Doug, 4 games tonight with monstrous double-digit spreads. So you have the Pistons laying 11 against the Pacers. You have the Timberwolves laying 2 tutties and a hook, 14.5 against the Mavs. You have that Nugget game we just talked about, and then the Thunder laying 17.5 in New Orleans against the Pelicans. Some really massive spreads tonight.
So I was breaking these down, trying to find an edge. Obviously I mentioned the Jazz going back-to-back altitude, but that's a huge number. It's 14 points, 13.5. Thunder's a big number. I'd lay it before I took it, but just because that second and even third unit of OKC is pretty solid. But I brought myself to looking at a money line parlay. So Thunder should take care of business. I explained the horrible spot for the Bulls, so Denver should as well. And then there's 2 other teams, and that's Minnesota and Detroit. Well, those are interesting scheduling spots. So Minnesota is in the middle, or rather catching the Mavericks with like a circus going on. They fired their GM. 14.5 is a big number, but the Mavs have been playing a little better of late. They are off a win, so that's why I like it. They've been playing better, so I actually would lean to the Mavs and the points here, but I like Minnesota and the money line parlay, baby, and then we'll finish it out with a very tough ask, and that's the Hornets. No, sorry. So I thought about the Raptors, and I was like, I think that could be a tough one here. So the other one I have is the Pistons and Pacers. This Indiana team's been terrible. They have 1 win, literally 1-12, but they're well coached and they play hard. And Detroit's off a nice win. They've actually won a bunch in a row, 9 straight. So I'm a little worried about Detroit covering this number, but the Pacers are just so shorthanded. So I'm going to put the Pistons in the money line. That entire money line parlay, Carver, minus $1.95.
Wow, minus 195 for all these massive money line favorites tonight. I feel like I should also put those on top of the daily double tonight. I'll take the daily double and I'll put those.
I thought about putting that as my play for best bet. I have a little concern with at some point the Pacers are going to win a couple games, right? So it's a bad spot for Detroit, but they've just been so good, right? 9 straight wins. I know what A is saying here with the Bulls and everything, but some of these teams mess around. So Minnesota might mess around a little bit as well. That would be a concern of mine. So that's why I had to go money line. But I think that's a concern. But I think there's at least a win in there for for Minnesota.
Steve from Lynn checking in. The early show hit the daily double today. All right, let's go. We got to make it 2 for 2 now. And I know those guys had all of the European World Cup qualifying matches this afternoon, so they got involved and they hit the morning daily double. We'll try to finish that off. All right, last ones with the NBA that we haven't mentioned. First was one you kind of mentioned there for a second, and I had it on my radar just because I always like this team to the over, and that's Toronto, and they've got Charlotte in town tonight, and it's 239.5 at Bet Rivers. Raptors are pretty good favorite, 8.5, but it's obviously the total that I'm going to look at, Doug. Can we get up, and away here in Toronto?
I see what you're saying here. My only concern is sometimes the Raptors sort of slow things down, and they're really an interesting team. Scotty Barnes is their best player, but he's not a ball hog, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a bunch of players that kind of are more like ball hogs, like Barrett, Quickly, Brandon Ingram. I want Barnes getting the shot more than all three of those guys, right?
Yeah.
But so sometimes their offense hits a little bit of a lull when we're talking about an over-under this high. Hornets are going to get up and down. I think LaMelo's back. Brandon Miller might be back soon. So we might be getting the band back together in Charlotte. And obviously, Concadepo's been fantastic. So Hornets are going to want to run and put up points. So I think you should be fine there. But that was at least my apprehension initially.
And the last one I'll give you is the Clippers, who lost again yesterday in Boston to the Celtics, now go to Philadelphia to see the 76ers. No Embiid for the Sixers tonight, but you do get, Doug, the season debut of Paul George. Sixers minus 5.5, 220 flat.
Yeah, former Clipper. I will say this. Clips have played a little better since getting their heads kicked in the other night. So they've played, they got blown out in the third quarter by the Nuggets, but the second unit or third unit played better in the fourth. They go to Dallas and win overtime game. Harden goes off. And they played the Celtics down to the wire. Now, a concern for me here, Bradley Beal out for the year. No one cares. Derek Jones Jr., their starting forward, who's just so athletic, uber length. He's out for a few weeks, and that's a big blow to a Clippers team whose defense is like bottom 6 in terms of defensive efficiency. Sixers are just not the team I want them to be facing. I want to bet against this team to give up points because I think Derek Jones is such a valuable weapon. I mean, he guards LeBron. He can guard point guards. Really crazy athletic. He's won a dunk contest before. I think 5.5 is the right number, though. So I'm laying off. But the Clippers are in trouble right now. Like I said, they're playing a little better these days. But maybe Kawhi's coming back soon. Who knows with this team?
They got all kinds of problems. I forgot about Kawhi. Is he ever going to play again? Kawhi?
He's supposed to come soon. I think he's supposed to play soon. As long as his checks from that fake company clear.
He's finally gonna make an appearance. Kawhi, good for him. There you go. NBA this evening here on Betting Weekly Live. We got the ice as well. 6 games in the NHL this evening, and we can't start the NHL part of the show without mentioning that all good things must come to an end. We had, of course, myself with Louisville on Friday night in the Daily Double department. And then we also had, Doug, Saturday night in Chicago, where the Maple Leafs run of overs sadly finally came to an end. So I know, Dana, did you play it, Doug, with no show? That's the question I have.
Thought about it. I had it on my calendar, but I did not play it. I pulled back the reins. I mean, I had a lot of games in college football on Saturday. I went no NBA. I didn't even get bothered too much in the UFC. I just was like easing it. I had a monster Friday night, monster weekend yesterday with live betting late night. So I just was picking my spots. Didn't want to spread myself too thin either.
Don't want to do that ever. It wasn't on my radar either with all the college football going on Saturday, Doug. I will say I did not get involved with that Maple Leaf over there. All right, let's get to the ice this evening with a few of these games. Like we mentioned, 6 games in the NHL. I'm going to start with this one, Doug, because I do like this tonight. The Kings are in Washington against the Caps. Okay, now the Caps, very small favorite right now, minus 115. Now, this was by about minus 130-ish, minus 135 earlier this morning. Kings minus 108, total 5.5 Kings are 9-1-2 on the road so far this year, Doug. And Washington tonight is starting their backup goalie, Charlie Lindgren, who stinks. He's 1-3-1 with a 3.5 goals against. Not very good. Kings have been awesome on the road, like the Kings as the road. They were a slight road dog, you could still say, tonight in D.C.
I like your rationale. It sounds like we're going to see some goals here. Remember, Kings got lured into a high-scoring game the other day. So why not here with the total of 5.5? You mentioned the goaltending issues involved tonight. I would think over 5.5 stands out based on what you just described.
Kings have been putting the puck in the net on this road trip. They have absolutely been doing that. Montreal and Toronto, they've scored a bunch of goals. So I got no problems there, especially with a 5.5 being put up there. This Lindgren stinks, who's going to be going tonight. Another one where I think we can get some goals. The Oilers are in Buffalo against the Sabres. Oilers have been on a little bit of a long trip here. They're minus 159. Sabres plus 128 at home. Now, this is a 6.5. The Oilers have gone over 5 of their last 6. The Sabres have gone over, I believe it's 5 in a row, 4 or 5 in a row for the Sabres. Sabres are starting this kid Ellis tonight, who is their backup, hasn't been very good. Oilers, as we know, could score lots of goals. I know 6.5 is a little tougher, but I think we can blow through this one also, Doug.
All right. Well, you bet a good pulse on all these totals, frankly, any hockey bet. So I'm supportive of this. There seems to be some road chalk here. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, there is a little bit, but you got to remember the Sabres are just god awful. They stink, Buffalo, and the Edmonton doesn't play well generally in October and November. They're a team that turns it on once you get to the new year into January. But that price is also, I think that's still a lot of the Oilers' power-rated team. They're one of the 5 favorites to win the Cup. So you're going to get them at 159 there on the road, especially in a place like Buffalo going in tonight. Other games, Vancouver's in Florida against the Panthers. Now, this is heavy lumber, as Florida's minus 305. Total's a flat 6 in that one. Vancouver did play over the other night in Carolina against the Hurricanes. Hurricanes are in Boston against the Bruins. Now, the Bruins have been on fire, Doug. They've been playing some really good hockey. They've shot all the way up to first. They've won 8 of their last 10. Hurricanes, of course, one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference. You're getting the Bruins at home plus 160 and a 6.5 total in that one as well. I kind of like the under in that one, Doug. It's a lean. I don't know. I probably won't play it with all these other overs I like, but I do kind of like the under a little bit with Carolina and Boston.
No value on the dog?
I'd hate playing against regular season Carolina. Regular season Carolina is very tough to go against because 8 out of 10 nights they're going to be the better team in these spots. So probably not as good as the Bruins have played. I'm going to stay away from that one. Don't have a problem with this dog. Maybe Montreal plus 110 at home. In Columbus against the Blue Jackets. That's a 6.5. It's probably Montreal or nothing for me there. They have been the better team so far. And the last game tonight, Utah is in Anaheim at the Duck Pond. And this is a good 6.5. I kind of like too. The Oilers are a sieve. They play pond hockey. Well, that's why we're taking the over there, Michael Corleone. We got to get in there and get some. We want a pond hockey game if we're going after the over. I think you get a pond hockey game with Anaheim and Utah tonight too, Doug, with a 6.5.
That means a high-scoring game.
Yes, a little pond hockey is just kind of, you get out there, really nobody's hitting anyone, not a lot of checking. Let's just go play with some high offensive skill. That's usually when you get yourself a little pond hockey tonight. So I like what Michael Corleone's going because we want the over.
I'm on board with that.
Well, you need a nice late night over. So I think that Anaheim-Utah game will get you going. I know you usually like the Shark Tank as opposed to the
that's
Duck
my go-to.
Pond, but I'm
willing to expand.
The Ducks have been playing some fun games there. Petey bet the Leafs over on Saturday. We're sorry, Petey. It was look, it was, it was light too, wasn't it? I saw it at 5.5 at one time, Doug, on Saturday night. That Leaf Blackhawk total. That kind of, you needed to sniff it out, I guess, when you started seeing stuff like that. We were distracted with college football. There you go. Hockey for tonight. 6 games for us this evening. Of course, if you like what you're watching, as you should be subscribing to the Betting Weekly Studios channel on YouTube, of course, where you're checking out Betting Weekly Live, and also check out our other shows released this morning, Betting Weekly Dojo, Nigel Seeley and Neil Channing, as they take an early look at the futures markets for the World Cup, which if you've followed me on Twitter, you already know, or on X, I should say, the Republic of Ireland is still alive. If you haven't checked out my X the past couple of days, so you can still get them for probably a ridiculous price in the World Cup futures market. But Nigel,
opportunity for you to carry the flag during some form of opening ceremonies, because you've been leading the charge like no other.
Listen, I have been leading the charge. I get it. Listen, my family was all born there. I always root for Ireland to make the World Cup. They've been miserable. They haven't made it since 2002. They've had a couple of shots and they've lost in these playoffs, but they had a goal the other day, yesterday, Sunday morning. Like, it was unbelievable the comeback they had in Hungary to get themselves into it. So they're probably like 501 or more in the World Cup, but we can all dream, Doug, especially. So check out Betting Weekly Dojo on all of our channels. All right, college football, couple futures from off of all the weekend action. Of course, you had Georgia taking care of Texas. How about Oklahoma beating Alabama in Tuscaloosa? And I think that I'll start there. And I know we're going to talk about a couple of these teams in terms of their national championship odds, but I was looking at the board on Bet Rivers before the show, Doug, and to make the college football playoff, these odds were, they have 10 teams in minus money right now to make the college football playoff. Obviously, the Notre Dames and the Ole Misses and the Georgias and the Alabamas. That leaves 2 spots, and the 2 that weren't in minus money, there was the Group of 5 team and the ACC team. So it seems like, Doug, as we hit the last couple of weeks of the regular season here, and crazy things can happen, but it seems like those are the 2 spots that are going to be really up for grabs over the last few weeks. Do you feel Oklahoma in, as long as they don't stub their toe off of what they did?
I think, yes, I do. I think their losses are quality enough. And I mean, the Texas one's not great, but Mateer was hurt and he did come back for that game for the Red River Showdown, but still, I think they'll be in. I think there's obviously some dominoes elsewhere, but I think that's a fair play there. Nothing's set. I mean, we've seen teams over the years tighten up. I mean, look at Ole Miss even struggled with Florida over the weekend. Sooners are legit, though. They have an elite defense. They lost at a neutral site and then lost home to Oklahoma, Ole Miss, which was a totally a quality loss. Took care of Michigan like they needed to, won their other games. Missouri and LSU won't be layups, but both are down to backup quarterbacks, so they should be just fine. And I think minus 200 does seem like a good bet.
I think the only thing that the Oklahomas and the Notre Dames can't have happen in that championship weekend, Doug, is they can't have Texas Tech lose to whoever it's going to be, BYU, Utah, whoever they play in that Big 12 title game. Because I think Texas Tech's been good enough that they could maybe absorb a loss in a Big 12 title game and they're still going to make the college football playoff. So I think that that's like the only thing hanging over the head of these at-large teams that are kind of towards the back end, is they don't want to see someone from the Big 12 maybe steal a bid from them, at least at this point, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, my only concern is what wins would Texas Tech have then, right? I guess they'd have a win over BYU at home. And then at Utah was solid. Yeah, one loss. They would have 2 losses. And I mean, look, these teams,
they'd be
for
sweating.
example, I mean, if Bama loses the Iron Bowl, they're probably out as a 3-loss team.
Well, yeah, well,
What if the Buckeyes lose to Michigan and then lose to Indiana?
Would you drop? You think that would be enough to drop them all the way out? And then, but remember,
what's the biggest win? Texas,
and that would also fall them into this category. Michigan would then probably be sitting there with 2 losses, and if Ohio State had 2 losses, now be it playing an extra game because they play the title game, would Michigan be able to bang their chest that, we beat them head to head? We both have 2 losses.
That's what happened with USC and Caleb Williams, right? They lost to Utah here in Vegas in the Pac-12 title game, I believe the final one, and they lost that weekend. That took them out of the running for the 14 playoff.
And no one wants to win the ACC. So nobody,
Even the ACC teams.
nobody wants to win the ACC. Georgia Tech's the favorite right now to make it out of everybody there. Any of these teams you're looking at, obviously we know who the heavy favorites are going to be to win the national championship. Is there anyone in that 10-plus range that you're looking at right now that you can maybe add to your portfolio, as we say?
Yeah, I think there are two teams that catch my eye. Let's start with Ole Miss at 17-1. That's a nice price at Bet Rivers, and I think they can beat anyone. They can hang with anyone. I think their defense is good enough. They don't have to play a game in the big SEC title game. It doesn't look like. I think the biggest question mark, and it's fascinating, is Lane Kiffin. If he leaves, is he going to coach the team through the playoff? I don't think so. I think he'll be required to leave. Now, today, the university mandated that they need a decision, official word from him in 11 days, October 28th. But that's the day of the Egg Bowl. They want to know if he's entertaining, if he's going to go somewhere else. So then he's going to have to make an announcement. And then with recruiting window and everything, I think if LSU or Florida nab him, he's going to go there and walk out on his team in the playoff. I just think that's going to happen here. So that's why I just can't pull the trigger on Ole Miss. I think if he announces he's staying, right, hopefully for Ole Miss fans, and that number stays the same, I think that's worth a bet. I think he can scheme well enough, and he's just in such a good place. He's healthy. He's been sober 5 years. He's more mature than he was earlier when he was at Tennessee and everything. I think he's a really, really, really good coach, justifiably the most, sought after candidate right now in the coaching carousel. But I'd have to wait to get assurances that he's going to be the coach of Ole Miss through the postseason. But the team that I keep coming back to is Texas Tech at plus 1,400. There's a good chance they have a bye. That means they're going to be in the semis, and you're going to have 1,400 on. I mean, I don't think these teams are unbeatable. There's no dominance. Who's number one in the country? Ohio State. We think they're really good, but they haven't played anyone except for Texas. But that Texas ended up not being good. So I think that front, seven, that the trenches, Texas Tech defensively can dominate anyone. Their quarterback play is good enough. I think they're really, kind of slept on and overlooked team in all of this.
They really are. They don't get much gas nationally, and I guess that's part of like the Big 12 last year, right, Doug? I mean, they really didn't. And then Arizona State had a good showing in the playoff, of course. But yeah, if they're in there and they do end up getting that 4 slot or something, and they have a bye, and you're already moving them on into the last 8, it's definitely something that you want to think about. That's for sure. Going back to Notre Dame, I know you brought them up, I think, the last couple of weeks. It's been the same number, Doug, like 3 weeks in a row now, 4 weeks in a row at Notre Dame. It's just not getting off that 9-1. I keep going back to, I should have grabbed some of them when they were 0-2 and it was like 60 or 50 or whatever it was at that point. But there's Notre Dame at 9-1. I think that they really can beat any of those teams that they're grouped with, Doug, if they end up playing them in the playoff, right?
Yeah, I know pro bettors that have them ranked second on their power ratings. Most of them have them 4th or 5th. Georgia looked great against Texas, but that's Georgia at home against a shaky quarterback, and I just don't think their defense is dominant as it once was. I think any of those teams on the left can win it. I've been more and more impressed with Oregon the last few weeks. Obviously, Bama can win it. Oklahoma can. I don't think USC. So I think after Oklahoma, that's your cutoff. I think those 10 teams, obviously the 10 favorites, but if I had to trim the fat, maybe I would trim Oklahoma. Maybe I would trim Oregon. Those teams feel like kind of a notch below. I don't think Texas A&M's defense is good enough. I think at some point it's going to just backfire. They're not going to be able to come all the way back.
I think Oregon maybe, and this will be, and then Oregon's probably the one team too. Like if they lost to USC this week,
right?
What do they got left to do? I mean, I don't think that's going to be enough for them. If they lose to USC this week, they could easily be the one team in those minus money right now to make the college football playoff that suddenly the table gets flipped on them and they'll be out.
Well, they're 10.5-point favorites, so it's on the table. And the key is USC would all of a sudden be ahead of them to make the playoff. So you can't have all these Big Ten teams.
No.
I think Michael Corleone asked a good question. I think they do. I think it does. The way that every year is different, and some team that's not the case. I I don't think Stockton or King has a chance. I think Jeremiah Smith, Love have a slight chance. Pavi a slight chance. I don't think Reed can win it. I just don't. And then it may come down to the Big Ten title game.
Man, they saved their season on Saturday, down 30-3 at the half to South Carolina. And Texas A&M comes roaring back to keep the undefeated season alive for them. College football. We got action tomorrow night. Get ready. I think UMass is on the card too, right? Did I see that? UMass is playing on Tuesday night?
Oh, yeah. 33-point dogs.
Oh, I got 24 hours to think about it, Doug. If I want to get involved with UMass at 33 tomorrow night. College hoops this evening. Now, there is some really good nights of college basketball this week. Tomorrow night, you have that great doubleheader at the Garden, which, of course, is Michigan State, Kentucky, Kansas, and Duke. You've got some really good games. You start to get in all those holiday festivals later in the week. But tonight, Doug, we have to get through tonight. The one game, I guess you could say, best game on the card, VCU, NC State, and Raleigh. I guess -12 for NC State. Other than that,
there's a lot of double-digit spreads. Let's be honest. So that's the lowest of all the five games involving ranked teams. It's got to be the best game, right? I don't know. I'm interested in some of these, like Tennessee and Rice. Always interests me. I don't know. Whiskey's been playing different this year. Yeah, that's the only game. I mean, it's not going to be a big college hoops night for me.
It is not. I'm trying to find anything that you got the Oregon State and the Beaver and Oregon splashing around in Eugene. You got the Civil War on the court between those two late night as well. Big points. We've seen some of these rivalries be close games. That's 14.5 for Oregon tonight against the Beavers, who are out to a 3-0 start. So maybe that's something that we can dip our toe in later on late night. All right, Betting Weekly Live. It is time. Best bet time and daily double time here on the show. Going back to pucks, Doug, after taking Louisville on new streak. We start a new streak tonight. And I'm going to that Edmonton-Buffalo game, as Michael Corleone put in the chat box before. Pond hockey. I hope so. You've got this kid Ellis starting in goal for the Sabres tonight. He stinks. We've got the Oilers, who always could play some high-scoring games. Skinner ain't great either in their nets. So I'm going to go up, and away, over 6.5 for the Oilers and the Sabres.
It's similar concept for me. I hope we get some pond hockey vibes at Allegiant Stadium tonight. First half over 24.5 between the Cowboys and Raiders. I think both offenses should be somewhat sharp against these leaky defenses. Dallas has certainly made a habit of going over its first half total in the entire season. They've done it all but one game. So I think the Raiders offense will be up to the challenge. They'll want to stretch the defense. Gino can always throw some picks as well. I think Chip Kelly will have some plays scripted. Cowboys defense certainly leaky. I think we're going to be okay here. Maybe some concern with the Raiders kicker, but we have Aubrey for the Cowboys in case we need a kick at the end of the first half or something like that. But I think we're going to see a back and forth game here.
Let's get it, baby. So the daily double for tonight, which, by the way, I just saw scroll across the screen here, just over 15 units in the plus side, the daily double here on Betting Weekly Live. So we're doing a nice job with it. Edmonton and Buffalo over the 6.5. Dallas and Vegas over the first half in the NFL game, 24.5. That is plus 249. And I was so happy, Doug, because that's where our bread and butter has been. 240 to 260. Right in that little window is where we've been getting it done. So 249 for the hockey in the first half football overs tonight. Let's go.
All right. Let's go is right. I like that. Plus 14 or 15 units. That's solid work out of us.
15.1 up there on the scroll there at the top. There you go. Betting Weekly Live for a Monday. Tremendous job by you, Doug. Tremendous job by everybody. We'll be back tomorrow where, of course, we got a full night of NBA, full night of hockey. Really good. I mentioned that college basketball doubleheader. You got those 4 teams at the Garden. So that's going to be a lot of fun and action for your college football. And I know we always do a little go for 2 on Tuesdays, looking ahead at the NFL and college football for this week as well. Betting Weekly Live, Mike Carver, Doug Kezirian, Betting Weekly Studios. We will be back tomorrow. Have a great night, everybody.